Hello and welcome to a special edition of Mr. Parker's Bedtime Stories. As you can see, I'm not reading a Mr. Men's story today, as I mentioned last night. I have a special guest with me today, here I mentioned. So Sarah, would you like to please introduce yourself, please?
Hi, so my name's Sarah. Sarah J. Dodd is my name on the books, and I'm a children's author. And I know Mr. Parker quite well, so we've got together to have a chat and a read to you and just talk a little bit about books today.
Great, thanks, Sarah. So yeah, as Sarah said, we're going to be chatting to Sarah a little bit about how she writes stories and where she maybe gets some of her ideas from. And also she's going to share one of her books with us today, which is going to be great. And I'm excited to hear about this book as well. So Sarah, before we get into the book then, just a few questions as a writer of children's book yourself. So just tell us, first of all, how long have you been doing writing and writing books?
Well, I would say that I have been a writer since the age of about 7. So here, you might be interested in this tiny little diary. I started writing this when I was 7.
Wow.
So it's got all sorts of little bits of writing in. Some of it's normal things like today Nana and Grandad came, I went to swimming lessons. And some of it is more exciting things like the day our car got squashed by a farm vehicle.
Wow.
So I used to write a little bit every day. And then I was very lucky, Mr. Parker, because one of the primary schools I went to, you won't believe this, every morning the children were allowed to do whatever they wanted.
Wow.
It had to be work, but so I wrote stories every single day, every morning, every day of the week, and I didn't have to do any maths or any science. That was in the afternoon. And so, yeah, I just wrote lots and lots and lots of stories and read lots of books.
Wow, that's great. So it's been something that's been going on for many, many, many years then.
It has, yes, many years. I think the first time I started writing stories to send to publishers and try and get them published in a book was probably quite a long time ago, about 15 years ago.
Right.
And I worked really hard at it and just tried to get better each time. And eventually a publisher said, yes, we'll publish your book. So if you like writing, just keep at it and never give up and do it because it's fun. I really like writing because you can invent what you like, can't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Sarah. So where do you get the inspiration for your ideas, or where do some of your ideas come from, maybe?
That's a really good question, Mr. Parker. I think ideas can come from anywhere. They can come from things that you see when you're out. I love going for walks in nature and just looking around at the world and things that I see. They can be from conversations that I hear, people talking. It might be from something in the newspaper or a magazine. It might be from a dream. You might have a really exciting dream and think, oh, that would make a good story. And because a lot of my books are for younger children, a lot of the ideas are from my children growing up and seeing other young children and how they behave, what makes them laugh, what makes them cry, that sort of thing.
Oh, great. A wide variety of inspiration. So I know you've been writing for a while, and you mentioned there going out into nature as well. So do you actually do some of your writing outside, or do you have a place in your house that you prefer to write?
Well, I have tried writing outside, but because I like to write on the laptop, on the computer, sometimes I can't see the screen very well when it's really sunny. So I either write at home on my dining room table, or I like to go to the library and write there in a nice quiet space. But at the moment, obviously, we've all got to stay at home. So I'm doing all my writing at home on the dining room table, or sometimes in my bedroom where I am now, and mostly on the laptop. But sometimes I do like to write by pen and paper. So I've got a nice notebook here, which is really inviting. It's got lots of nice empty pages for me to fill. So anywhere, really.
Great. And how long does it take you to get from maybe the start of your first ideas for a book to it being finished and getting published?
Well, that depends on the book. So for a short book like the one that I'm going to read to you in a minute, it takes it takes quite a long time to think about the idea and what the story is going to be. And then when I start writing, it takes probably about maybe only 3 days or so for a book like this.
Right.
But then when I've written it, I put it away for a few weeks, and then I come back to it and read it, and then I can see where I can make it better, and things that need changing. So I write what we call another draft, means writing a better version for something a bit longer. Like, so for example, I've written this children's Bible, which as you can see is quite thick. This one took about 6 months to write. And if you're writing a novel, a chapter book, which is longer, that usually takes about 6 months or even a bit longer, maybe a year even.
Wow.
So it depends on the book really, and it depends what the idea is and how excited you are about it.
Yeah, that's great. Right, well, let's have a look at the front cover of your book today, which is Legs, which I know you put up to us earlier. So you mentioned about using pictures a lot in your books, and you've done a lot of picture books. So what are some maybe key things to think about when you're writing these picture books, especially for younger children?
Well, the important thing is to think about how the pictures and the words go together, and also about the turn of the page. So, for example, if you have a surprise coming in the story, you need to make sure it happens at the turn of a page. So when I read it, you might see what I mean, but you want to make it so that it's quite an exciting thing to turn over and see what's on the next page. And also, this book, as you can see from the cover there, it's called Legs, and it's got lots of legs on it, animal legs. And this is so that younger children can look at the legs and they can try and guess what animal. If you think about it, if say you're about 3 or 4 years old and you're quite small, the whole world is like legs to you because everyone else is so much taller, aren't they?
I like that.
So I wrote this book because it's about a meerkat called Mickey who's very tiny, and for him the whole world does seem to be made up of legs. So yes, the pictures are really important, especially for children that can't read for themselves. And also with a picture book, the sound of the words is important. Because children like to remember. I like to remember the words and join in, and then that they can pretend that they're reading the words, and that is a way that they learn to read as well. So it needs to be a nice experience for the child and the grown-up or the older child who's reading it with them.
Definitely, yeah, and I love that whole looking at the legs thing for little children. That's great, that. And being a teacher, I decided to count all the legs on your front cover while you were talking as well. There's 14 legs there, if anyone else was wanting an answer.
Oh yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12. Yes, you're right, and well done.
Thank you. I like to be top of the class in maths. And I guess there's a final question before we get you to read this book to us, Sarah, is why have you chosen an animal character, and why do you choose maybe animal characters in your story? I know you mentioned nature, but do you want to elaborate more on why you do that?
Yes, well, I chose an animal because if you use a child, obviously that child can only have one skin colour. It can be a boy or a girl. It can be a certain age, a certain name. And straight away, that kind of, well, it makes the book less universal. And by that, I mean, we want a book that everyone is interested in and everyone can identify with. So, for example, if you write a book about a girl, some girls and some boys will read it, but sometimes, to be honest, some boys think, oh, that's a book about a girl. I want to read about a boy. So people like to read books about characters that are like them. Yeah. So I chose an animal because everyone can identify with an animal. It's not black skin colour or white skin colour or brown skin colour. It's just, everyone likes animals. They're cute.
Yeah.
And I chose a meerkat because they're very, very cute, but they're also quite naughty. And I went to see some meerkats at the zoo when I was writing this, and the zookeeper told me that they do like to give the people a little nip. They like to bite and they, try and escape. And I thought, that sounds a little bit like a toddler might be, very cute, but sometimes naughty, sometimes a bit difficult to handle. So yeah, that's why I chose a meerkat.
And also, they're on all those adverts that are very funny that we all love compared to meerkat.
Yes.
So
and
very
most zoos have meerkats, so that if you like them, you can.
Right, what I'm going to get you to do now is if you could maybe share this story with us. So if you are watching this now, get sitting comfortably, ready to hear the story of Legs. Over to you, Sarah.
Okay, yeah. So this story is called Legs, and it's about Mickey the meerkat. And as you can see, we've got lots of different animal prints. So you can guess which footprint belongs to which animal. Mickey and Mama lived under the ground, where it was warm, dark, and safe. One day, Mickey woke up and Mama was gone. "Mama," he said, but Mama was nowhere to be seen. "Mickey," called Mama, "come outside and see the world." "I don't like outside," said Mickey. "I don't want to see the world." "I'll be here," said Mama, "and the keeper will take care of us." Now that gives us a clue about where the story takes place. If there's a keeper, that tells us we usually find a keeper in a zoo, don't we? So we know we're in a zoo. Outside, it was light, it was bright, it was exciting, and a little bit frightening. I don't know whether you can see that, but there's the shadow of a big eagle here. And eagles are big birds that eat baby meerkats. But Mama was there, and the keeper took care of them. I don't know if you can see what Mickey had for breakfast. I'll show you a close-up. He had worms for breakfast. I hope you didn't have worms for breakfast this morning. Mickey wanted to see more of the world. Uh-oh, Mickey's going out. We're not allowed to do that at the moment, are we? But the world was full of legs. Pink legs and wrinkly legs. Stripy legs, spotted legs. I wonder if you can guess which animals the legs are from. Have a close look. Do have a little think. And fierce, furry legs that made Mickey run as fast as his own little legs. "Mama," said Mickey, but Mama was nowhere to be seen. I wonder how Mickey's feeling in that picture. What do you think? "Can I help you, my little friend?" said a voice. Mickey knew those legs. Who do you think those red boots belonged to? But now there were hands as well, warm and strong, lifting Mickey up, and there was a kind face. It's the keeper, the zookeeper. There were faces everywhere. faces of all shapes and sizes. Fierce, furry faces. I wonder if you guessed that was a lion. You were right. Stripy faces and spotted faces. Did you guess a zebra and a giraffe? Wrinkly faces and pink faces. Did you guess right? An elephant and a flamingo? And at last, can you guess? The face Mickey loved best of all. So he's back safe where he should be, staying in where it's warm and safe with Mama. And so that's the end of the story. There is another story about Mickey, which I'm not going to read today, but he has another adventure in this book called Just Like You. So if you like meerkats and you also like giraffes, that's a good one for you. Thanks, Mr. Parker.
That's great. Thanks, Sarah. I really enjoyed that. And that story that you've just read to us, and learning lots about your writing inspiration. I'm sure others will have too. I know even in my class there are definitely some children that do love writing stories. They always come and ask me what's the page limit, because they know I've got to mark it. And whenever I say, they always write an extra page. So you just can't stop some of these people writing.
Well, Mr. Parker, if any of your children at school would like to have a go at writing a picture book, then I'd be happy to have a look at them. One thing to remember is that for a picture book, you have to have 12 double page spreads like this. So if you think about a story, you need to split it into 12 sections and just have maybe a couple of sentences in each section and a picture to go with it. And if anyone wants to have a go at that, and Mr. Parker wants to show them to me, I'd love to see them.
That's great. Well, we'll put that challenge out to them, and I'll remind them of that. I'm sure there'll be some that are dying to do something like that because they'll be bored at home, and some of them just love writing their own stories anyway. So we can definitely set that challenge. And just before we finish, Sarah, is there a place where children could maybe get your books? And also, could you maybe tell us what book's coming next for you as well?
You can get these books anywhere where there's a bookshop. So you can go, well, at the moment, obviously the bookshops are closed, but you can go online, order them from Amazon, Waterstones, Blackwell's, WH Smith, anywhere that sells books. All you have to do is remember the title. So this one's easy to remember, Legs, or just put in my name, which you should see on here, which is Sarah J. Dodd. And I'll send Mr. Parker some links as well, in case you want to buy one. And then when we're all allowed out, maybe Mr. Parker might let me come to school and sign them for you. And we can have a bit more author chat then.
That's definitely something we could do. I'm sure that'd be great for the children. They're always looking to inspire them to read more, because reading's so important in all their parts of education.
And you're asking me about next books. My next picture book, which is coming out in August, is a little bit different. This, again, is an animal story. It's about an elephant, baby elephant, and it's called Beyond the Setting Sun. Now, this one is for children who sadly might have lost a parent or a grandparent or someone they know, someone who's died and is feeling sad. And it's just to try and help with those feelings and to understand what's going on and to remember the person that you loved. So that's one I kind of hope you won't need to buy, but if you find yourself in a sad time, then perhaps that book might help someone you know. And then next year, very exciting, we've got a novel coming out, a chapter book for ages 9 to 12, but I'm not allowed to tell you anything about it yet because it's top secret.
That's fine, but we can look forward to that, Sarah. So yeah, thanks Sarah for coming on today. It's been great to chat to you. I've learnt lots, and I really enjoyed the story, and I'm sure the other children who are watching this have enjoyed that too. And hopefully they can enjoy some other stories. And yeah, goodbye to all of you, and don't forget I'll be back on tomorrow with my normal Mr. Men reading, and you can enjoy that live on YouTube again, but we'll certainly have to get Sarah back at some other time. So it's goodbye from Mr. Parker,
And it's goodbye from me.
see you all. See you
Bye.
tomorrow.
Bye.